Now, you might be wondering why I'm looking down, and it's because I'm reading off the back of the book because the answers are right there. Judge me. I don't care. Work smarter, not harder is what they told me in school. So they say that leaders are readers. Well, as much as it used to pain me to admit that, it's actually true. And by you being here right now, I know that you're either already a leader who reads or you're wanting to become one. And that's why I want to share with you 5 newer self-improvement books that I think you should read if you want to take your life to the next level. Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Lifehacks Show. I'm your host, Justin Aldridge, and today I want to chat with you about some amazing self-improvement books that are going to set you up to live a rich and meaningful life. And speaking of living a rich and meaningful life, I want to tell you about how you can get your hands on a free copy of our book here at Lifehack, The Full Life Framework, that's going to allow you to live a life just like that. We're going to chat all about this amazing book here in just a minute, but for now, go ahead and click on the link above or down in the description below to get your hands on your free copy of this great book. And also, I just want to remind you, if you're enjoying our content, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel so that you get notified each and every time that we put out new great content. Now, let's nerd out on some books. Okay, so it's been said that the average CEO reads about 60 books per year. Now, while there's not any research that actually validates that stat, there is research that actually shows that the highest income earners read on average double the amount of books per year than those who earn less. So I guess that's all the proof that we need right there that leaders really are readers. Now, I gotta admit, growing up, the first time that I heard that phrase, leaders are readers, I cringed. Why? Because I hated reading. It was just something I absolutely hated to do. And so it made me think that it was gonna be a long, hard road to success for me if I didn't enjoy reading. And I was a top student, so I could only imagine how the lower performing students felt. But luckily for me, I found out later on that the problem was that I was actually trying to read the wrong kinds of books. Once I found out about self-improvement books, I was hooked. And that's the key. When it comes to reading, you gotta make sure that you're reading books that are actually relevant to what it is that you're trying to achieve and books that you actually enjoy. I know, who would have thought it, right? And like I said earlier, I know that by you being here, you're either already a leader who reads or you want to become one. And even more important than that, I know that you are somebody who is driven to achieve great levels of success. And that's why I think that these 5 books are going to be so transformational for you. With that being said, let's chat about these books. So book number 1 is The 10X Rule by Grant Cardone. Grant Cardone, if you don't know who he is a serial entrepreneur and real estate mogul, and he's also a motivational speaker. And in this book, he talks about what it takes to achieve what he calls extreme success. And he talks about how the only thing standing between extreme success and failure is the 10X rule. And in the book, he defines the 10X rule as the amount of thought or effort that it takes to do something successfully. Now, I want to share with you 3 key takeaways from this book. First and foremost is the fact that success is simple and readily available to every single one of us. As long as you're willing to show up, to put in the work and do it over a sustained period of time, you can achieve what he calls extreme success. The second key takeaway is that success is a mindset first and foremost. If you don't have it here, you can't go out and create it out there. Before you can create worldly or material success, you've got to cultivate a mindset of success first. And then the third key takeaway is the fact that success requires more effort than we think. Cardone talks about how people think that success should just come easy. And while it's simple, it's not easy. It's the ones who are willing to show up, to play the long game, to be committed to the process of going through and committing to the 10X rule that are going to achieve the extreme success that he talks about. So again, the first book is The 10X Rule by Grant Cardone. Definitely go and pick up your copy. All right, moving on. Book number 2 is High Performance Habits by Brendon Burchard, who's been dubbed the world's leading high performance coach. He's also a multiple New York Times bestselling author, as well as a motivational speaker and really a big time thought leader in the personal development space. And in this book, Brendon seeks to answer 3 fundamental questions. And those questions are, why do some individuals and teams succeed more quickly than others and sustain that success over the long term? Of those who pull it off, why are some miserable and others consistently happy on their journey? And then lastly, what motivates people to reach for higher levels of success in the first place, and what practices help them improve the most. And in his desire to answer those three questions, Brendan and his team at the High Performance Institute performed one of the largest ever studies on high performers and their habits to really uncover the answers. And in that research, Brendan found that there's actually only 6 habits that separate high performers from lower performers. And those 6 habits are: seek clarity, generate energy, raise necessity, increase productivity, develop influence, and demonstrate courage. Now, you might be wondering why I'm looking down, and it's because I'm reading off the back of the book because the answers are right there. Judge me, I don't care. Work smarter, not harder is what they told me in school. Now, some key takeaways from this book are, first and foremost, just like the 10X rule, it's that success is simpler than we think it is. This is something you're going to find in a lot of self-improvement books, is that we tend to make success be a lot more than it is. And the second key takeaway is the fact that there's really only 6 habits that separate high performers from lower performers. I know in my mind, before I read this book, I thought it was much more than 6 things that separated the best of the best from those who aren't the best of the best. But that it really comes down to those 6 things, which brings me to the third key takeaway, is the fact that not all habits are created equal. Whenever we're going out in our lives, we address a lot of habits. As growth-minded individuals, we have things constantly that we want to change. Well, after you read this book, it might be able to help you to realize that if the things you're seeking to change in your life right now aren't focused around one of these 6 areas, you might be wasting your time, at least in the moment. So focus around these 6 areas first and foremost, and then move on to the others. So again, book number 2 is High Performance Habits by Brendan Burchard. Book number 3 is actually one that I'm really, really excited to talk about. I mean, I'm excited to talk about all these books, but I'm really excited to talk about this one. And it is The Full Life Framework by Leon Ho, the founder and creator of Lifehack. And one of my favorite parts of this book is right in the beginning. Leon goes into talking about how Lifehack became what it is today. How it started out as this modest little blog that he created just to be able to go out and to help people live better lives, and how it's morphed and grown into this global community, a resource that serves millions of people across the world to help them live their best lives without sacrifice. Some of the great parts of this book are the fact that it goes in depth and highlights the 6 life aspects, and it talks about how living a full life requires you to make sure that you're developing all 6 areas at the same time. And that brings me to another point in the fact that you've got to make sure that you're avoiding what Leon calls debts, meaning that you're developing in certain areas, but you're lacking in other areas. Because when you start to accumulate these debts, it creates that endless loop of imbalance. And that's where we as high achievers, people seeking to live our best life, where we can fall into that feeling of being stuck or being unfulfilled. Even though we're creating success over here, we're lacking so much over here that we feel unsuccessful, that we feel out of whack, we feel imbalanced. So if you want to live that type of life, you've got to make sure that you're avoiding those debts and that you're creating balance in all 6 areas, all 6 life aspects. And so a couple key takeaways from this book are the fact that, like I said, being able to live a full life requires you to raise all 6 areas, all 6 aspects of life at the same time. You can't neglect anything. You've got to avoid those debts. And also, one of my favorite, probably the biggest key takeaway from this book is the fact that you should have your own unique formula for success. Where we go wrong in life so often, where we get to that point of creating tangible or worldly success but feeling completely unfulfilled, is when we fall victim to pursuing somebody else's definition of success. What works for one person should not work for you. You are a unique individual, so you should have your own unique individualized definition of success. Yes, all 6 aspects need to be covered in your definition of success, but the way that you go about fulfilling those 6 aspects should look different than everybody else's. So again, click the link above or down in the description below to go and get your hands on your free copy of this amazing book from our creator, Leon Ho. All right, moving right along. Book number 4 is Think Like a Monk by Jay Shetty. Jay Shetty is a former monk. He's a social media influencer, and he is a world-renowned speaker. And I cannot speak highly enough about this book. I actually just finished reading this book, and it is chock full of so much wisdom. In this book, what Jay does is he takes his experience of giving up his life to become a monk, and he unpacks all of the wisdom, all of the experiences that he learned during his 3 years as a monk, and he distills them down in such a way that we, as regular people, can actually apply these ancient teachings and wisdoms into our lives. To be able to do exactly what Jay mentions, to be able to live more meaningful and less anxious lives. I don't know about you, but that had me hooked right from the start. And the biggest key takeaway that I had from this book is the fact that with enough understanding, we can answer many of life's toughest questions. And we can actually start to use that wisdom and use that understanding to break free of many of the things that have been holding us back in life, such as fear, anxiety, worry, or self-doubt. So if you're somebody who really wants to be able to transform your mindset, who wants to be able to live a more meaningful and less anxious life, you have got to go out and get Jay Shetty's new book, Think Like a Monk. I promise you, you will not be disappointed. And then lastly, book number 5 is Get Out of Your Own Way by Mr. Dave Hollis. And right from the get-go, I was hooked on this book because of the subtitle that says A Skeptic's Guide to Growth and Fulfillment. And he wasn't lying. He is a total skeptic, or he was a total skeptic, and he unpacks that entire story and really his journey over the last 20 to 30 years as he's grown from somebody who was really opposed to self-improvement and personal development to somebody who is a full-blown personal development junkie. He is someone who, alongside his ex-wife, Rachel Hollis, is co-owner of the Hollis Company, and they go out that their entire brand is focused on self-improvement and personal development. And in this book, what I love about it is that he gives you a real world look of what it actually looks like to transform your life. And the formatting of this book is so amazing because he goes through and he talks about it rather than just teaching lessons. He actually goes through and analyzes it from the place of lies and the 20 lies that he believed that prevented him from growing into the man that he is today, a person who is obsessed with self-improvement and personal development. And I just love the unique aspect, the way that he went about that and approaching it from lies, because so often the reason why we're not living the life that we want to live is because we're buying into a lot of different lies, whether they're lies that we're telling ourselves or lies that the world is telling us about us. So if you're somebody who has been a skeptic, or if you're somebody who's early on in your personal development life and you really want to get a unique perspective on what it looks like to grow into being someone who is on fire about self-improvement and personal development, and you really do want to live your best life, then you've got to go out and get this book by Dave Hollis, Get Out of Your Own Way. And again, that subtitle is so amazing, A Skeptic's Guide to Growth and Fulfillment. I couldn't have said it better myself. So there you go. There they are, all 5 of them, the 5 self-improvement books that I think you need to read in order to transform your life and take your life to the next level. Again, they are The 10X Rule by Mr. Grant Cardone, The High Performance Habits by world-renowned speaker and New York Times bestselling author Brendon Burchard, The Full Life Framework by our founder and CEO, Mr. Leon Ho, Think Like a Monk by just social media superstar and former monk Jay Shetty, and Get Out of Your Own Way by Dave Hollis. Do me a favor, in the comments below, let me know which one of these 5 books are you most excited about getting out there and reading. And with that being said, that concludes this video. Hop on over to lifehack.org for more great tips, tools, and resources just like this, or stay tuned for the next video.